What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our guest joining us today, we have Mayor Aaron from LUMBERJILLVILLE. How's it going, man?
Good. How y'all doing?
Doing okay. We're riddled with some
old-fashioned holler net.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what we got going on
this
here.
This is take two. We only got about 30 seconds in, so
yeah. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think the audio version that I'm doing over here isn't recording. So I think we're going to just rely solely on the video recording today.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yep. Apologies, but yeah, man, we're excited to have you here amidst all the confusion,
chaos.
But we are
Hey, it's all good. It is all good. I'm glad to be here, guys.
Absolutely, man. Well, tell everybody a little bit about what you guys have going on over there.
All right, so I got LUMBERJILLVILLE wrestling figures on YouTube, and what I do is I review all the women's wrestling figures that are released. I started the channel about 2 years ago, right after the shutdown, the illness shutdown, we'll say, and I started the channel there. And yeah, I review all the women's wrestling figures, and I really try to bring some respect and bring some love to the women's wrestling figures, because that's a whole nother story, as to why I got into it. But so that's what I try to do over there.
That's awesome, man. You put out a lot of great content. I love that you include your daughter in it, and it's like a way for you guys to kind of bond and connect. I think that's an extremely unique, interesting avenue to take within the kind of wrestling community, collector community. It's very cool, man.
And honestly, like, that's what kind of got it started real quick. And I tend to ramble, but I won't do that to y'all, okay? But real quick, so WrestleMania 34, she's like almost 3 years old, and I had WrestleMania on in the background. Charlotte comes out. I'm sure you've heard the story if you listen to Coming Down the Aisle. And she stands up, looks at the TV, and her eyes get big and her jaw drops. I look at her in the TV, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, all of us probably had that moment as kids, seeing the Macho Man or seeing some wrestler and being like, wow. And here we are, 2018, I think it was. And my daughter can look at a female superstar and think they're just the coolest and the best. And that's when I was like, okay, the women are awesome. Like, my daughter looks up to them. I'm going to look up to them. And that's when I discovered all the creepy Facebook groups, that are like, and I'm like, and then I started seeing like a lot of podcasts and stuff that review wrestling figures are like, the women's figures, give them to my kids. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, you know what? Screw that. Like, I'm changing the script here. I'm going to try to get the respect up there, because I'm a dad, I'm a single straight parent, and I love women's wrestling figures. You know what I mean? So I'm
awesome.
trying to do something over there.
I love it, man. I love it. You guys definitely go check out LUMBERJILLVILLE. Search it on Instagram. Search it on YouTube. You'll find it. Great content.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, what we're here to do today, we have 3 topics. We'll go about 10 to 15 minutes a piece. We'll cut Tom off as much as we can, so we don't really. No, we'll let him talk. But we have 3 topics we'll get into, and if you guys are ready, we'll get right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So our first topic of the evening: you're the new CEO of WWE. Bayley, Becky, and Ripley. Cut one, push one, and champion one.
Well, I'd marry Bayley. Oh, wait, wrong game.
Oh, yeah, it's a different game, Tom. A whole different game.
I don't know where my mind went there.
Tom, are you in those Facebook groups that I discovered?
Yeah.
We found he's the an admin over there.
Yeah.
He's running those channels.
Created them. No, I'm just wow, what a good question this is.
Yeah, cut one, push one, champ one. And all of those women, man, are great.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and take it. This was extremely hard for me just because all of these women are at various points in their career. I would say Becky and Bayley are maybe, you know, they came up together, so maybe they're around the same place, maybe not the same stature within the company. But then you throw in Rhea, who I think is a great talent who hasn't really been pushed the way maybe she should. And just to put it all out on the table, my favorite women's wrestler in pro wrestling is Bayley. I love Bayley. I think she puts on the best matches. She never gets the shine. It's always like her dance partner gets the shine. But the reason those matches are always so good is because of Bayley. Not to take anything away from anyone else, but having said that, I would cut Bayley. I would champ Becky, and I would push Rhea. And here's my reasonings for this. I think Bayley has reached the ceiling of what they're going to give her in WWE. I think to see Bayley in an AEW, she could be a cornerstone of that company. She could help that women's division. They need someone like Bayley over there. Bayley, I know she's been hurt, and I know she had the ding dong heel turn, and that was all fun, but I feel like she's not going. I don't think Vince sees her in that Becky Charlotte tier. So I think she's going to stay about where she's been. So I would rather cut her and see what she can do outside of the WWE system on her own. And now, again, she's my favorite wrestler, and it's very hard to cut her. With the Rhea Becky situation, Becky's held the belt so much. I know I'm championing someone who's been at the top, but I want to see Rhea get a push towards a championship. I don't want to just give her the belt. I want to see Rhea get a true run at the top. So put it on that, for lack of a better comparison, put it on the John Cena of the women's division right now, that tried and true superstar in Becky. Put the belt on her, push Rhea towards the belt, have Rhea have that crowning moment at Mania, and make Rhea one of your top stars. That's what I would do.
Wow. I mean, Bayley to me was the female star of the pandemic era. She was so freaking good. So I think she makes a hell of a champ. So I would champ her. I'd probably cut Becky because I can't stand heel Becky and push Rhea. Like, Becky was so good as the man, and that run was so good, but they've just kind of derailed it. And I'm over Becky by this point. So
I am too. Becky's my least favorite of the three. But
yeah, so that's what I would do. I love Bayley. I love like her little thing with Michael Cole, her little interaction. She makes a great friggin' heel, and I never knew she had this in her.
And the hugger gimmick was awesome too. Everybody got tired of it, but it was awesome. The little kids loved it. Like, I loved the hugger gimmick.
The wacky baby inflatable arm flailing two men.
We drive by, there's a place that has those, and every time I pass it, my wife still yells, "A Bayley buddy."
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of easy. In the cut aspect, I'd cut Becky. I would cut Becky. I would champ Bayley and push Rhea. I think Bayley hasn't got that shine yet in WWE that she can. I think Becky's reached it. I think it's time for her to move on. I don't think the potential for her, there is potential in another company, but I think she's reached the absolute top in WWE. And I don't like what she's doing right now. So I don't like her as a heel. I don't think that she has, I mean, she might be a better heel in another company, but the way they're doing it in WWE, I don't like what they're doing with her. So, and I like her. I like Becky. But Bayley as a champ and then push Rhea, I think she's just hasn't even scratched the surface yet.
What do you think, Aaron?
All right, so my turn. Yeah, I didn't want to. So, you know, I went back and forth. Like, I wrote down some notes, and there's scribbles, there's circles, there's scribbles. It's crazy. But what I'm going with here is completely different than everybody else. We've all had kind of different answers. Two of you are pretty much on the same page. But so I would actually cut Ripley, and that was a hard decision. I love Ripley, and I think a lot of the kind of head scratching, you know, is she babyface? Is she heel? Back and forth? Like, that's not her fault, obviously. You know, it's the creative kind of, you know, farting out there, right?
Right.
So, but hey, we're becoming the CEO, right? We're the new CEO of WWE. So I'm saying, hey, Becky, big time Bex, and give me those Gaga glasses. You're going back to the man gimmick. You're going to be the champ.
I like it.
You're going to be the champ. Everyone's going to love you. But in my opinion, having a women's champ that has that kind of resume, right, really helps build the other talent. And I think we'll get into it later with AEW. I think that's where it kind of fails. They don't have anybody that has that resume. So having Becky as the champ, I think that's great. Bayley, push Bayley, you know, Chad, you said she's your favorite women's wrestler. She's right up there with me. And the best thing about her that I love is she's adaptable. We've seen her succeed as the ultimate babyface. And then when she turned heel, everyone, including me, was like, uh-oh. And look how she made it, you know? And someone like that has such a creative mind that can really adapt, I would like to see her get pushed. And I know she's had championship runs, you know, and everything else, but I still think she hasn't reached her peak. And I think she can be on the same level as a Becky or Charlotte, you know, like you mentioned before. As far as in Vince's eyes, Vince is gone, baby. You know, in this scenario, Vince is out, man. So I would love to push Bayley, and let her have a lot of control of her gimmick, her character, what she says, a lot of things that they don't have over in WWE. I'd give it to her because I have full confidence that the fans would get behind her and she would do an excellent job.
I love those picks. And one thing about Bayley, like Tom, you brought up how she was kind of the standout of the pandemic era. Like, dude, I felt like when she was in that run after the heel turn and getting into the ding dong and all of that, like that is her at her most comfortable. She felt so confident in that ring, and just the banter with it. She really, not that she never felt confident, but I feel like she really came into her own then.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And she's so relatable for the fans because of how she got there and how much she cares about it. You know what I mean? Even when she's a heel, people love her. So she's definitely someone, like, I'm strapping her to my WWE posters and billboards. We're pushing her big over here in Lumberjillville. So that's my answer.
Don't forget, during the pandemic era, Zelina Vega was the star of the first half.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. I forgot about that.
She was through the roof. She was doing commentary. She was amazing. It's a shame, you know, I love her as a wrestler, but I loved her on the mic even more.
Oh, dude, that early stuff when she was attached to Andrade and Angel Garza, that whole package, I was really hoping they would push that a little more.
Yeah.
And with Bayley, like, I feel like everyone, and I get the accolades everyone gives Charlotte Flair, and I'm a huge Charlotte Flair fan. I love Ric Flair, grew up on him, love that, you know, second gen. She is arguably the best in the world when it comes to just in-ring technique. But I think there's an argument, like, she might be the most maybe just God-gifted talent, but Bayley is that. Maybe she didn't have that God-given ability, but she seems like someone who really puts in the work in the training room. And there's an argument that she might be the best women's wrestler in my opinion. She's
all around
so versatile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So true.
And that's the crazy thing about Charlotte too, is she's so talented. She's amazing. But it's almost like that intangible, that connection to the fans, whether she's a babyface or a heel, that always seems to be missing. It's almost maybe it's hard to relate to someone that's so good at what they do. Right. Whereas, you know, so I don't know what that is, but you're right, man. Like with Bayley, it's almost like they have that intangible connection to her, you know, like
exactly. Yeah. Cause Charlotte has that, she has that LeBron Kobe gene.
Yeah.
Once you get that much greatness in you, I would say 50% of the fan base is going to despise you because of it.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
She's so good at making you not like her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she legit makes me not be able to stand her by how good she is on the mic, acting how snug she acts, because she's not really that way.
Right.
So, and she does it so well. So
yeah.
I mean, when she was on the Steve Austin show, not the Broken Skull Sessions on the network, but the interview show he had on USA. I forget what it was called. she was, and they hung out and went and did, and she seemed like such a grounded
100%
person.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
When you see that version of her, it's like, holy shit, man, she's a good actress.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anybody have any final things to say about this before we move on?
It's hard
it's
pick,
tough
man.
when you're throwing those 3 names out there. That is tough, man.
Oh, and I love the variation of 2 of the 4 horsewomen and then Ripley, you know, like this promised delay. It was hard for me to put, you should see my paper here. I had to cut Ripley. It was a hard decision, y'all, you know what I mean? But we're CEOs in this scenario, so we got to do things like this.
Yeah, we got to do it. I
almost felt guilty. I'm like, sorry.
But I like the way you came at it though, because I was using like Vince. I wasn't even listening to our own question because I was like, well, Vince doesn't see, and you're like, Vince is out. I'm the CEO.
He gone, baby. He gone. We don't talk about him. We don't talk about him in Lumberjillville's Raw, right?
Yeah. It's what's best for business.
Yeah.
He wiped out a history like he's done to so many people in the past.
Yeah, that's what we would do. That's what all of us would do, I'm sure.
All right, so our next topic of the evening. Now, Aaron, this is the topic that you brought to the table. If you were Tony Khan's brother and took over AEW, what changes would you make to improve their women's division as far as like booking, creative, etc., all that? Defer on this one since it's your topic. I'll let you go first.
Oh, sure. Okay, so it's been tough because when AEW first started, obviously, I was excited to see an alternative, and I do focus on the women's division, women's wrestling. That's like my love, my passion. And, you know, it started off real slow there for a while, and it picked up. And just overall, like looking back at when it started to now, I'll be honest, it's disappointing, in my opinion. It's really a letdown. It's disappointing. And I don't know what the deal is. I think there's a lot of little things that might be the reason why. And some of those little things, like in this question I'm talking about, like maybe some things they might need to adjust or do, or certain superstars they need to push or shouldn't push, you know, etc. And I think one of the biggest things is like 2 of the longest title runs, you know, with Britt Baker and with Sheeta having such long runs, and Britt had like, I think 7 title defenses and Sheeta had maybe 8. And a lot of those main pay-per-view matches that they had, the defenses, I mean, the build was like a couple weeks before, and these AEW pay-per-views are spaced out so where they could build something big. So it's been frustrating because they have the talent there. And side note, I think Impact Wrestling, I think their Knockouts division, they might have the best women on the planet, honestly. Yep. And I think the big part of that is they just say, hey, we trust y'all, go wrestle. What do you want to do? Whereas I worry in AEW that there's so many cooks in the kitchen, man, and they're bringing so many people. We got, and all these male wrestlers they're bringing in, right? They all require time. You know, they all require time on the card, on the pay-per-view card. They all deserve a slice of the pie. But what slice of the pie is left over for the women? And that's where it's kind of a concern, in my opinion, you know? So I think that would be the main thing, is there's certain superstars that I think they could put the belt on and they could defend it night in, night out. They could be on every show, you know, like Britt. I love Britt, but she's a freaking dentist, y'all. That's real. Like, she sees patients, like she's not full-time, you know, and that's a problem. And even like Thunder Rosa, I think she's excellent. But she's wrestling in tons of promotions right now. And I don't know how I feel about that, if that kind of takes away from the prestige of the women's championship in AEW when she's wrestling for all these different promotions while she's champ. That's kind of, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. But either way, I just wish they had a women's champion that would get the proper time on the mic, you know, in the ring. Like with the Britt run, it was one of those things. To me, she wasn't a believable heel. Like, sure, she would say things and act bad, but it's like, dude, you didn't do anything to back this up. You had like one hardcore match that was great, but you know, the resume isn't there. Like we talked earlier, and me putting Becky at champ, like having that resume makes that champion strong and makes everyone chasing that belt really seem more credible, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of, you know, I know y'all are big AEW fans, and that's why I wanted to really bring this to y'all and ask, because I just, there's so many things I would change and I would do, but y'all are a lot more loyal, you know, and probably watch a lot more than I do extensively and break it down, obviously, on a weekly basis. So I'd love to hear what changes you would make or what things you would do, whether it be add time or put the strap on someone like a Ruby Soho or Statlander that can defend the title night in, night out. The fans can get behind them, and hopefully that women's division then will get some credibility in return.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things you said is spot on. I think there's so much potential there, and I don't think they've truly capitalized on it. And I think for me, there's 3 big issues with that division that I think would improve it. And that, I think the easy thing to say, and this isn't one of the 3, is time. Everybody needs time. I think that's an issue across the board, not only the women's division, but some of the men, some of the bottom kind of low to mid card stories don't get a lot of time, or maybe they're focusing on the wrong thing in certain, you know, the Hangman championship build towards the end, he was getting no time on TV, and that's your champion, you know? So like time is an issue in that company with the size of their roster, just in general. But with the women's division, there is 3 things I would do. 1, better stories. They need to focus on stories. Not, we had a running thing on the flagship show where Thunder Rosa's last match, we called it the top of the ramp build, because the only time she was featured on the show was she would say something at the top of the ramp. She never came to the ring. Where? She never had matches at the top of the ramp.
It's the top of the ramp.
Yeah. So like they need better stories, in-depth things that we can care about, true feuds, not just, hey, this person, Nyla Rose attacked them. Why did she attack them? Let's dig a little deeper into this.
Absolutely.
Number 2, they need more figures of influence for the women's division in the back. People important. I know Dustin Rhodes has a hand in it. I know Serena Deeb helps out a lot. I know Kenny Omega's helping out, but we need more training, more people focused on that division. And number 3, and this is the biggest thing to me, and I think this will tie into our last topic. They need a cornerstone star. They need not someone within the company, but I think having a Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, Paige, Becky, like if they've scooped up all this male talent, if they could scoop up one major women's star, marquee name to inject into that division, I think it would elevate it so much. So
that's a great point. And that kind of goes, like, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, go.
But real quick, that goes along with me saying, like, I love Britt Baker. I think she's great, but like the credibility of her talking to us trash, it's like, like what's your resume look like? You know what I mean? So that'd be great to bring and inject someone that has, you know. So yeah, I love that.
That's how you make, you know, everyone does the DMD with Britt. You know, she's playing the heel, but people want to love her.
Yeah.
You know, what's the best way to love her? Say a Charlotte Flair enters that company. That's someone who could put her in her place. You know, totally put her in her place. What have you done? Put her down, talk her down, and make her the underdog in a situation. And then you've got a super baby face from a homegrown star going against this outsider heel who is a touchstone of the industry. I think they really, really need that established WWE star to really elevate the division.
Yeah, I agree, man. I would say, so one of my biggest things with it was story. They need stories. And my fix for that, I think that's the top thing is story, because we don't have, you know, it's I want to beat you up. No, I want to beat you up. Well, let's have a match.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what we're getting.
Yeah, we need to care about it.
Yeah.
We need something.
So here's what I would do. I would have more factions. I would, 1, maybe 2, just super strong factions in the women's division. I think if you had 2 like really strong factions going at it, a la Jericho Appreciation and Blackpool Combat,
You can make stars out of factions.
You can make stars out of factions. And then I think while you have those stories, and we've seen it kind of with the baddies and Jade.
Yeah.
But I think having the factions, I think that would also elevate the people who aren't in factions.
Right.
I think you elevate those people by not having them in a faction. So you have these factions that are going at it, and you just have these singular stars. And that's where I think the marquee name would come in and really make a big impact on the company.
For me right now, the most entertaining women on AEW television is the baddies.
Exactly.
Jade. When Jade comes out, Jade to me seems like a star. And now you Stokely Hathaway and Red Velvet and Kira Hogan, the total package. Like when they're on TV, I want to watch them, you know?
Oh yeah. I've been huge into Rampage, even though it's only an hour long or so, but I love Rampage, and I love it because it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to see the TBS champion Jade, you know, and the baddies. And I love that. But yeah, how she carries herself, like, that's something they've done good though. You know what I mean? That's So
I think they've built her really well, and I think the baddies has elevated her. So,
and it's given her time to show that charisma. Like they're giving Jade time. That's why, like right now, we talked about it on the flagship. Like to me, the TBS title means more than the heavyweight title.
Absolutely.
Like because she makes me care about that title and the undefeated streak. There's a story to it.
Yep.
You know,
so true.
You all made excellent points, and you do kind of got the DMD faction, and you got the baddies, which is the best thing, like you said. Jade is the best thing going in women's division right now. I love what they're doing with Chris Statlander, rebuilding her. I think they're on the right track with that, giving her a story.
I love Statlander.
Yeah, I do too. I think she's amazing. And I won't even take credit. I'm going to pull a Hawk. I will take credit for getting rid of the alien image. I'll take credit for that one. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I love what they're doing with her. But yeah, like they should kind of do a faction with, you know, Ruby Soho, Athena. And I feel like I'm missing somebody else that came over. Oh, Tony Storm. Put them three together. Let them get the WWE, like the outsiders coming in, and let people start calling them out when Tony Storm gets the belt. Have everybody turn on her. I think that'd be kind of a...
That's what we need. We need turns. We need backstabbing.
Stories.
Like,
I feel terrible for Thunder Rosa because she's so good in the ring, and you look like, when you see her cutting a promo, you could tell she's trying to put her whole heart into it. But damn, somebody better step up and help her and give her more bullets or guidelines to work her through it. Because you could tell she's trying to, she feels it. She feels it.
Right.
It's just not coming across as hard as she's trying. It's not that the effort's not there. I think we're going to see Tony Storm get the title, and I think that's going to elevate it.
I think she's in a situation, man, where, you know, I think the passion's there, but I think the spots they're putting her in, he doesn't know what, you know, she's trying to pull something from nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Case in point, this Tony Storm situation. You know, they're having a match at Forbidden Door. Tony Storm came down, helped her, and then held the title, and they give each other a look. Like, but where's the story there? There's no story
absolutely
for Thunder to be passionate about a promo and know the direction to take the promo.
Yeah, like that would have been a good first step, and they should have built it slowly. Maybe they had a tag team match together versus somebody after that. But they jumped right into it. Like they gotta, you know, and AEW is so good at doing this slow build, but this kind of feels like they're just not giving it the time.
Right.
So I feel like they're on the right pace. I think Tony Storm's going to do something special. She's such a talent.
I think she is talent wise. Yeah, she's really got the abilities, and that was hard whenever, you know, she left WWE. But it's like, okay, she knew what she was doing. You know, she knew her work.
If you listen to her interview with her, she's like, I'm not going to bury WWE, but yet she buried them the whole thing without even trying.
That's I don't ever have a problem. Like if that's how she felt, tell me how you feel.
Yeah,
there you go. Just be honest, you know,
just be honest.
I think she did it in a way, it was just how she felt. She was saying, I'm not blaming anybody else or how anybody else feels there.
Exactly.
Just me. She did it in a way that really didn't bury them. It was just her feelings. Again, I love Sneed's idea of more factions because, you know, people say AEW has too many factions. I say screw that. I love factions.
Give me all the factions.
I love factions.
Give me all the factions. There's a shirt, Chad. Give me all the factions.
But that does build a cool dynamic, that you mentioned it. Like, we got the cool kids at this table, right? And then we got these outsider kids that are like, yo, come on, let me in. And it kind of makes you feel something. Like you're saying, these stories that they have now, they don't make you feel anything, but something as little as that, a little change makes you feel for one side, whether it be the cool kid table or those trying to get in or not getting picked on or whatever.
Right. Here's the story I've been wanting, and I think it would help, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, but I've been waiting for the Jamie Hayter turn on Britt Baker forever.
Oh, me too. No.
A story there without involving a championship. Like, let's do it now. Give us another story in a women's division. It doesn't have to involve the title, and it's built in because it's been built for so long. You see the little looks. You see Britt Baker say, "Oh, the best woman will win if we fight each other." Like, it's there. There's another story. Come on, guys, let's go.
I know. I feel like that ship has sailed because I thought that for so long that now I don't get my hopes up. I'm like, they're friends, whatever. Yeah. I love Jamie too, but I'm like, she's. They're not going to do it to her. They're not going to give her this push, man. But you're right.
And I agree that they need that big star there, but it's not like they don't have so much talent of their own.
No, they don't. I'm with you, Tom. I hate leaning on that. They need a WWE star to make them good. They could do so much without ever bringing anyone in.
Like, we should make that clear because I think we all feel the same. But I was like, I hope people don't think I'm saying they don't have the talent because they have the talent. So I'm with y'all. Like, they have it there. You know what I mean? We're just trying to in some ways.
Honestly, if you solely just look at the talent, not the stories, I think their women's roster is better than WWE's right now.
I think it's really more. I think they have a lot more potential.
Yes, 100%.
I think WWE has the established, well-oiled performers who have been at the PC, have put all this time in, but a lot of them are either upper echelon or middle of the road talent that is never getting pushed, like the Liv Morgans and like people.
And
dude, like Liv Morgan, you hear every time she's on TV, the crowd goes nuts for her. That's natural, and yet they're not pushing her to the moon. And I don't get it. She gets the biggest reaction right now in WWE out of all the women, and yet she's not the one being.
And that's like Tom and I were talking a little earlier. Like, Liv is one of those superstars. We'd say wrestlers here, right? It's not like WWE.
And that word
those wrestlers, all right, that. A lot of us that have been following wrestling have been watching her for years, from NXT coming up, and she's progressed so much in every way, and she's always training, she's always trying. Like, people care about her, but I do feel like, and I will stand, in unison saying WWE, NXT, I think they have the best women talent by far. Like, even like, as far as like promise goes and future, like they have the biggest stars, but I think even the younger women, I think they have the most potential. I think the AEW women's roster is great, but I do still think WWE nudges them out. But with Liv, she just keeps hitting her WWE ceiling. And I say that because it's like, Vince, you've had all these opportunities, all these ladder matches and elimination chambers. And it's like, if they would have her win, fans would lose it. But I think now we're at the point where we're like, whatever, she's not going to win, So
imagine that Money in the Bank, Liv wins that match. And then she has
I imagine it every year, Tom, and it never happens.
You have her win that match, and she gets a huge cash in at SummerSlam.
Well, Tom, I mean, something like that, though, Tom. Like, I feel like this isn't an issue in WWE that is strictly on the women. Like, this comes down to that WWE mentality of not making new stars. They get their top stars and they ride them for a long, long time, and then they're not making those undercard.
That's true.
They're not making them.
That's a good point. I'm talking about all these younger women stars on NXT and WWE, how I think they're great talents, but that's a good point as far as, well, what's going to become of them in the future with WWE?
Right.
You know what I mean? No, I think they have a better women's division. Like, are they going to ever see the full potential there? I don't know.
Like, we've seen how many people get over organically over the last 10 to 15 years that don't get the push. Now, Vince falls in love with Theory, and nothing against Theory, but now that's the guy he's going to push because that's the guy he likes. Listen to you have a friggin' universe that you love to claim. Listen to the friggin' universe.
Riddle is ready. Riddle.
Yeah, man.
Like, if you're running a company and you want to make the most money, why don't you listen to what the people are telling you they want?
You know why? Because there's no arguing. There's no telling with a narcissist, buddy. You know what I mean? There's nothing, man. Everyone in the world could say, hey, we don't like Theory. And he'd say, Theory's our champ. He's great.
100%.
Like people like that, there's no breaking that
Right.
hard rock eggshell of a brain, you know?
One last thing I want to ask to you guys, because we were, comparing rosters, AEW, WWE, who has the stronger roster, NXT. Do you think that the fact that WWE can go on the road, they do their live events, their house shows, essentially, they have the PC where they're constantly getting reps. AEW doesn't have that. Yeah, they do a couple little shows in dark, I think like maybe twice a month, and they film a few shows. But as far as like weekly reps, constantly getting, they don't have that. And it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, they're not getting beat up. They're not using up that bump card. But iron sharpens iron. The more you do it, the better you get. And I feel like that is the benefit of the WWE schedule, is you just get those reps in. And I feel like that's how they get better. So I think not having house shows might be hurting the AEW women's division.
Case in point, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Each match they had has gotten better because they were working the house show loops together.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a
great and maybe AEW doesn't need to do it as much as WWE, but go to some smaller venues and put on some house shows and let people work together.
Yeah.
And you got to think too, like I mentioned with Thunder Rosa, like, dude, she's wrestling a bunch of different promotions. Like, you have to wonder, like, if AEW, we are the AEW brand, this is how we do things. Going and wrestling for all these different promotions, all these different wrestlers and stuff. How do you adapt to AEW's way? Or how do you remember, oh, okay, they want this? You know what I mean? It just seems like the inconsistencies are always going to be there unless they do something like that. Or they say, hey, you're signed to AEW, boom, boom. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're with us.
Like, I know Danielson and Dustin Rhodes, like day of Dynamites, they're giving classes to the women early in the day and things like that. But dude, once a week, getting a few hours training doesn't compare to 3 to 4 days a week, getting in the ring with someone you're going to be working with on television and working those kinks out and gaining that chemistry. I think there's a lot to be said about, just putting the work in.
Yeah, that's a real good point, man.
It's an excellent point. I actually thought about, suggesting that as a debate topic a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to bring it up. It's an excellent point.
All right. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on to our final topic?
I don't think I'm good on that one.
All right. So we'll move on to the final topic of the evening, and we're going to be somebody else in this one. You're Tony Khan, and you can only sign one, Sasha Banks or Paige.
So both of these women are rumored to be on the open market. Nothing's official on Sasha, but the rumors are out there. And then Paige announced her departure from WWE, hinting at an in-ring return. What do you guys think? If you're Tony, who do you sign?
Okay, if I'm Tony, I say, Daddy, I need 2 checks. Bring them both over.
Yeah,
Daddy, I need more money in my account, and then it's all solved. If we're Tony.
All right, I think that's going to wrap us up, man.
Well, that's it.
No.
No. True.
Again, for the case of this argument, let's say Paige is 100% healthy and she could go as well as she ever did before, and there's no chance of her being real.
Well, I think that's the question, man.
Okay, well, if that's the question, and even without that, I still saying Sasha Banks. Mercedes has got to come in and.
Because here are the downside to each. With Paige, there's that question mark with health. With Sasha, there's that question mark of at any time she could go to Hollywood and leave wrestling behind. So
or not be happy and go crying.
That's true.
Whoever you're signing, their long-term future with your company is in question.
And I'll answer. I'll give my answer. And it's kind of easy for me, especially talking about that Paige. I'm bringing Paige over. Absolutely.
Why?
I'm bringing Paige because, at any time, like Chad said, Sasha could leave. At any time, Paige's in-ring career could be over. But Paige is so young and so seasoned, and she's been around so long. She's been around wrestling her entire life. And if we're talking about someone that's going to make the biggest impact on the company, whether they're in or out of the ring, I think it's Paige. Because if she's out of the ring and she can't wrestle, they have that young, seasoned veteran in the back that can help shape that women's division.
And you know what? You know what else they have with that? That I'll give my answer after this. But the thing with taking Paige is you also get the huge CM Punk type of return where she's been away from the ring for years.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her. If you sign her and you're like, she's back, that's huge. That's a huge, you know, Sasha's been wrestling. We've seen her. We've seen her on our TV, but like if Paige returns into a major angle, say she comes in and takes out Britt Baker and we've got Britt Baker and Paige at All Out. I mean, that's money. Like Paige returns at All Out, like kind of how CM Punk came to face Darby. You want to see that. That being said, I'm going Sasha Banks.
I'm gonna go after you. Yeah.
Because Sasha Banks to me, like right now, she is arguably number 2 most popular, arguably maybe number 1 most popular women's wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
If you want eyeballs, if you want your viewership to go up and you want that Sasha crew to be tuning into your show every week, I mean, that's 100%. Money right there. I bring in Sasha.
And to quote Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. You bring her in, people are going to be glued just to see what she's going to say.
Oh, dude, and I would totally, like, my answer really wasn't my answer about getting 2 checks and asking for more daddy's money, okay? but no, I would choose Sasha, and I love Sneed's opinions there for Paige. That's a great explanation, and to me it was easy. I was thinking Sasha, no doubt. But after hearing that explanation, that makes a lot of sense. But I would still choose Sasha. And I know right now, you know, there's kind of to some fans, there's a negative cloud over her. Oh, she's a baby. She pouts. She's this. I hate all that. That drives me nuts because she stood up, as far as we know, you know, she stood up for what she believed in. And all those that talk about how she's pouting and she's crying and stuff, I guarantee they wouldn't go into work tomorrow and risk their job for something they believe in, right?
Right.
And plus, if it's like a personal character flaw that people think she has, it's like there's been so many wrestlers, not to name names, so many wrestlers in the past that are horrible human beings that people love, people wear merch, people buy figures, you know, but that's okay. But if Sasha says, no, I'm out, then all of a sudden she's got a flaw. Is it the woman thing because she's a woman? Like, why is that so under a microscope? It's weird, you know, when you think of it in that aspect. But I would choose Sasha because she has that confidence and she has the cojones, really. If the women's division at AEW, you know, if they weren't getting the time, I don't know Paige well enough to be like, hey, this needs to change, because she's been out of wrestling and it'd be great to see her back, but I don't really know if her heart's in it, if her passion's in it. Just following her on social medias and stuff, it's like, did you even wrestle? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't, it's like, seems like that disconnect is already in place, whereas Sasha, like, she cares enough to go in and put her titles up and pretty much, you know, go through all this crap to whatever's happening now. Like, she risked a lot because she cared. And I think that dedication is kind of exactly what they need in AEW. Like, hey, Tony, hey, Chucklehead, give us time. Give us stories, give us time, or else I'm out, right? And he'd be, you know, whatever. So that's why I would choose Sasha. But I love y'all's reasonings for the others too. But I just, I would. My heart goes to Sasha.
A quick note is we've only heard WWE's story of what happened at Raw that night. We haven't heard Sasha's and Naomi's story yet.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm waiting to hear what they have to say. But, you know, we know for a fact Sasha watches AEW. We know she loves it. We know the passion's there. And we know she's got a brilliant mind. She's great in the ring. I'd love to see her get the shot there, to see if it's her, to see if it's booking. I want her to prove herself there and see how she does there.
And like, if you go and watch,
very interesting.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No,
if you go and watch, I think it's the Broken Skull sessions when he interviews her. You know, my buddy that sometimes is involved with my channel and whatnot, my longtime buddy. We talk and he watched it and he's like, I don't like Sasha. She's too arrogant. And I was like, I watched it and I'm like, you know what? that's a person who knows what they're worth. They know what they deserve. They know it. And it does come off a certain way to some people, right? I totally get that. But that's the type of mentality and the type of person that really elevates a women's division, that needs a voice, that needs a leader, that needs someone to be like, hey, we're this good. This is what we deserve right now, and give it to us. Yep. You know, so that solidified me when I saw that. I'm like, she's the GOAT. She's the best thing to happen to women's wrestling.
It kills me when people don't like that, because like that's what WWE is missing right now, are those type of voices. Vince tries to tamper them out, because who were those voices? The Stone Colds, the Rocks, who got bigger than the company and Vince couldn't control. Yep. And I think Sasha is that type of person. And with her leaving, you know, and doing what Stone Cold said, taking her ball and going home, hats off to her, because she knew she had to make that decision where she was okay to walk away from it. Now, I know that if you're an employee, your company's going to react like that. But if you don't think you're being treated right, that's the only course of action you have. Yeah. What are you going to do? Sit there and eat shit and not make a stand? Like, the fact that she made a stand, I love. And that's awesome. She is like,
me too.
She's a bona fide star, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Paige, I love Paige, and I think Paige has a history with that division where she came in and who'd she beat? AJ? Like, she came
AJ on her like Raw debut, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, that was huge, but like, as far as having like that connection with the fan base, she's been gone, like you said, Aaron, where, you know, you follow her on social media, it's like, are you even into wrestling anymore?
Yeah.
Sasha, like, she's right there.
To play devil's advocate on that, we didn't see him Punk. We didn't know if he was into wrestling or not, too.
That's true.
Hey, that's true too, man.
For so long, it was like he almost like he hated wrestling.
That's true.
That's true. That's even to the more extreme, even more than the Paige thing, because it's like the opposite of what. Yeah, you're right.
You know, when Paige released that statement, when she was talking about coming out, you know, she was like, you know, Saraya is a great name. She was like, Paige, you know, it's sad that Paige, but, you know, I'll be back, and Saraya is not a bad name. Like, it sounds like she still has a passion.
And what better? It's so fun to think about, because we all know, you know, WWE, everything's very micromanaged. There's scripts, everything. You know, you are playing a character word by word, beat by beat. Imagine Sasha or Paige with the cuffs off, and being like CM Punk and Chris Jericho have both spoken to the fact of AEW and the creative freedom has reignited their love of wrestling. So imagine these two people in that environment being able to tell the stories that they want to tell. That's exciting.
I think both of them would be blockbusters over there.
Oh, I'm with Aaron. Like, pull your give us 2 checks.
2 checks, daddy, please.
Go back to the Sasha arrogance thing. Let's relate it to real life. If you go to a doctor, if you go to 2 doctors for the same thing, and the one doctor tells you what's going to happen, but you go into the other one who's very arrogant and confident in what he's doing, which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose the guy that sounds like he's super confident and knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
And that's what Sasha Banks brings to the table.
Yeah,
I have no problem with
the analogy, man.
There's no athlete who is obsessed with greatness that's ever like, I'm okay. I don't, you know, I might. They know. They arrogance and confidence are kind of like cousins. They're right there.
Yep.
I don't think
isn't it kind of weird? I mean, have y'all seen all the hate with Sasha? And it's it's you know what I mean? It's tough, and that's why we do what we do in Lumberjillville, boys. Right? We try to get that love up, man. Try to get the love and respect, and say, hey.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I don't get it. Like, I'm all about fight the man. I'm all in the corner of the wrestler. Like, stand up for yourself. They don't have unions. You know, like some of these professional athletes have unions that look after them. All they have is their own power that they build within the industry. And the fact that she has the power to stand up and for what she believes in, I love that.
Yeah. She's the GOAT, man. She's my GOAT. My GOAT.
All right. Anybody have any final things to say before we wrap it up?
No, I'm waiting for the question from chat.
All right. Round robin. No discussion. No discussion. Just a quick answer from everyone. In 2024, how many of the 4 horsewomen will be left in WWE? When it comes to 2024, Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley, how many of those women will still be with WWE?
2.
That's what I was going to say, 2.
2.
1.
Wow.
I thought about 1.
I think
1.
Becky will definitely be there.
Yeah.
1 for sure.
I could go 1 too.
I'm saying I think Bayley, and that's it.
Really?
And I love the 4 horsewomen. This has nothing to do with that, but just looking at like the trajectory, like everyone's life outside of wrestling, like obviously Sasha's going through all of that. Like she does have a husband. You never know what's going on there. If she does move on from the company, she won't be back. I can guarantee that. Yeah. So that's 1 down. Charlotte just married, right?
Yeah.
Becky just had a kid. And yeah, I mean, I can see them having these runs and whatnot, but I don't know with the Becky thing. I still haven't got this feeling like she's back for good, because she's getting so much like a lot, very strong, very fast. You know what I mean? Like kind of like with the Ronda. So I kind of have a feeling like, and I get it. You know what I mean? Like she's a mom and stuff. Like I love that and respect that, but I don't get the feeling she's here to stay. And then Charlotte, I kind of get the same feeling that she just won't be here in 2024.
Dude,
so
there's
one.
I wouldn't be shocked if any one of you said 0.
Yeah,
and that makes me sad to think and say, man, this is dreary.
Because Bayley's close personal friends with Ricky Starks, and she's around all those guys. I could see her going to AEW. I could see Charlotte going to AEW with Andrade, or starting a family with Andrade. I could see Becky going off to just be a mom, and I could see who's the other one?
Sasha.
That's all of them. Yes. Sasha's gone, I think, already.
I think, yeah.
Wow.
Man, that's
crazy.
I'm depressed now.
Let's end it on a high note, man. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you guys and follow you on social media.
Sure. You can find me at Lumberjillville Wrestling Figures on YouTube, and also Lumberjillville on Instagram.
Awesome.
Go follow, guys. Lumberjillville on Instagram.
And I get that everyone's into women's wrestling figures, but I make the videos entertaining because I'm trying to get people to care about them, because I love them. It's my passion. So I try to make the intros entertaining and fun and goofy, whatever. You know what I mean? So at least check it out. If it's not your cup of tea, like pretend you never watched anything. Right? But at least check it out and show some love to Lumberjillville.
Subscribe, like, follow. Go do it, guys.
All right, that's going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are following theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, we got a couple of seconds. Get your shit in.
Big night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Turnbuckle Sessions. Me and Mike Belcasta every Friday morning. We returned last week on Friday.
Awesome. All right, court is